everything he did in his camp was with a purpose. What was the intent of bulking up to the heaviest of your career at 238 pounds?
Well, you know, the weight.
What's good, family? So mash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. Oh man, this is bad. They down bad right now. Yeah, Deontay Wilder fiancé, Telly Swift. She going through it right now. She going all the way through it, no doubt. So you saw it there. Deontay Wilder's girlfriend attempting to air out Tyson Fury, calling him bulbous. You're bulbous, and this is the problem. You see, I can't lie to you. Boxing, because in my opinion, I don't care what no one says. Boxing down bad, yeah? Real bad right now. Because the bottom line is, Fury ran a train on Deontay Wilder. And it's interesting, I've always thought about the concept of boxing. And often we hear about, historically speaking, we hear people compare boxing to wars and whatnot and whatever else. But when you think about it, if we was back in Olden times, if we were 2,000 years ago, yeah, Wilder, that would have been it. Do you understand what I'm saying? That would have been it. What used to be Wilder's wife would have been Fury's wife. Oops. It would have been one of them ones, because Wilder would have been got. Wilder's head would have been on a spike. And it would have been truly peak for Wilder's kin. You understand? They'd probably be on a spike too. You understand? Because at the end of the day, let's call a spade here. Your man's Wilder. He was saying before the fight that he wanted to do this and do that. So unfortunately, it works both ways. And the way it worked, if there wasn't rules, and it's quite interesting when you hear a lot of Wilder fans talk about, oh man, the institutions, they out to get Deontay Wilder. But you, man, didn't talk about the institutions that saved him. Because if there weren't no institutions, Tyson Fury, because either way you look at it, Fury had the first knockdown. Fury could have, if there was no institutions, he would have walked over there, would have mounted him, and the rest would have been history. Yeah. At which point, again, if we were 2,000 years ago, 3,000 or not 4,000 years ago, yeah, Telly Swift would have been dragged by her hair into some next cave, and it would have been game, set, and match. That's what it would have been. Oops. But that's why in 2021 we have evolved to some extent, because that's why certain individuals can have a big mouth. Because back in the olden days, there's a reason you didn't have a big mouth, because you would have been in the cave. It would have been peak. It would have been one of them ones reading between the lines. Yeah. What we do know is them cheeks would be sore. 100% sore they would have been. So that's why over years, as different institutions have developed to protect the weaker individuals, they can now rant off, if that makes sense. But you have to always, that's why I think it's important to realise, because when you look at Animal Kingdom, you seldomly see female lions mouthing off. Why? You might tell me. Because they know they ain't fixing to get got. There aren't no institutions in the Animal Kingdom to protect lionesses. So they got to keep it stum. Yeah? That's what I'm just telling you what's going on right now. I've never seen, despite all this stuff about, oh, well, they're as strong as they can be. I'm not going to use certain words because obviously it's YouTube and that, but but we're all as strong as each other. Oh, we're all, you know what I mean? But that's not how it is, unfortunately. It's not. That's incorrect, I'm afraid. Everyone's not as strong as everyone. Yeah? It's not true. It's a fallacy. And that's why, ultimately, in the Animal Kingdom, lions, their kin gets got by the next man who comes through. And in this analogy, it would have been Tyson Fury. So all I'm saying is, in my opinion, if that was my wife, I'd tell her, listen, man, just calm it down. Unless, obviously, if I win, we can be noisy. If I don't, and that's what I'm saying. If it was me, I'd say, listen, just calm yourself, because if I get got, yeah, it could be peak for me right now. Yeah, if I get got, I'm gonna be thinking about what next man, innit? He better go on you, 100%. That's what he would be doing. So it's best for all of us that we keep quiet and keep humble. Because otherwise, next thing you know, you miss his hair being dragged into the cave with the next man. That's what I'm just telling you. That's what would have been going on. But way back when. It's true, isn't it, though? I mean, in fact, not even 5,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago, probably even earlier than that. It wasn't long ago that people was raiding. They'd go around to little villages and raid them, and then obviously it was truly peak. If you had a daughter, or if you had a wife, wow. If your village was south, or if your village was just, you know what I'm saying, it's peak. I'm glad, to be fair, I'm glad I'm in these times, because that's long. That is truly long. It's quite amazing, really, when you think about it. I know I'm digressed here, but it is quite interesting when you think about it. It weren't that long ago, was it? Really? 1,000 years ago? I know it's long, but it's not like... Wow, that's scary, isn't it, really? But anyway, the point is, people, it's the lesson here. And the lesson is, Telly Swift, you got a hard... Well, to be honest, you didn't even get the real lesson, because the real lesson would have been in the cave. But you got a bit of a lesson. You got a taste of a lesson. Yeah, your man's... The man who's supposed to protect you ended up in a heap on the floor, helpless himself. He ain't protecting no one on that floor. That's what he ain't gonna do. And that's the thing. That's the problem I got. What you notice is she weren't mouthing off at the end when her man was slumped. She was hella quiet. She was all the way quiet. Do you know why? I believe the reason she was quiet was because over centuries of, I'll call it cave programming. Yeah, think of all them individuals who have been dragged by their hair into the cave. I reckon that's what kicked in. Yeah, that programming kicked in, and she just thought, oh, better not say nothing, else I'm going to end up in that cave. And she was quiet. You could have heard a penny drop. She was all the way quiet. She ain't making no noise. And rightfully so, to be fair, rightfully so, because listen, she talked a big game. Her mans was there. She was talking a big game, and she had it quiet. Yeah? When Fury hit him with a zombie, and he went flopping, that was it. She quiet. She laying low. Damn, man. Let's try and start the cave. 100%, and rightfully so. No doubt. But anyway, end of the day, man, bottom line is, this is a lesson in humility. This is a lesson in, you don't know who you're talking to, in as much as, I can't lie to you, I look at Tyson Fury and I say, he's soft in terms of his body composition, but at the end of the day, he having a go on these athletes at will. Yeah? Tyson Fury had a go on Deontay. Bottom line. That's what he did do. Who else has he fought? Well, to be fair, Fury hasn't fought a whole load of athletes, but listen, he won for one so far. And allegedly, I don't believe it, but a lot of people say, oh, Wilder's the biggest punching heavyweight ever. Well, if that's the case, then the biggest punching heavyweight ever, in my opinion, would be almost the equivalent to one of the greatest warriors ever, if that makes sense. At the end of the day, Fury, Bulbous or not, Wilder was got. Twice, in fact. Back to back, he got. So, what can we say? He doing it. He living it. Meanwhile, not just Wilder, meanwhile, other athletes, AJ, he down bad. This really is, we find this sport's in a sad place. And I'm not saying Fury may be, we don't know, do we? Fury may have been good enough to compete on a historic scale. We don't know. Would I back him? And it's the thing, actually, thinking about it, in terms of the weight, the difficulty is, I actually think there's a lot more in this weight thing. And Conor McTaper made a good point. He said that people don't appreciate how much 50 pounds really is. And when you think about it, yeah, I worked out the equivalent, because 50 pounds works out about, call it 20% of your body weight. And so the equivalent is, so you got to add 20%. So for example, a 147 pounder, let's call it 150 pounder. Adding 20% to 150 pounds is 30 pounds. So that's the equivalent, and it's all proportionate. So Wilder, yeah, going from I guess it wasn't 50 pounds, was it? He was only 40 pounds, but okay, call it 40 pounds then. 40 pounds is still pretty much 20%. Let's just call it 20%. The equivalent is a 147 pounder fighting at 175. That's what Wilder had to do. Bottom line. Now, I'm not knocking it. Heavyweight is what it is, but that's the truth. The truth is, Deontay Wilder had to fight as a welterweight fighting a 175er. That's the step up he made. 20% added on. And it's all proportionate. And we know a 147 pounder versus a 175 would be laughable. Wouldn't it? It'd be absolutely laughable. There wouldn't even be no intrigue in that fight. Even someone great at 147, like Errol Spence, in there with Alvarez. In fact, that might be a fight we get to see, but I just don't think... Yeah, it's not going to work, I don't believe. Errol Spence versus Alvarez will be light work. Alvarez will ride him all the way home. You best believe that as well. All the way he'll be ridden. So you have to... So that is a principle. But then again, what can you do? I mean, the UFC, they have different weight divisions. I believe they have... Theirs stops at 205 pounds. And then theirs goes up to 265 pounds. So I guess it's not much different, really. I'm sure Fury could have come in 265. It's still a lot of weight. I wonder where are all the big men in boxing? I guess you've got people like AJ, Hisaf, Gillian White, Bulbus. So yeah, who knows? Who knows what's really going on? That's what might make it. I wouldn't mind seeing Francis Ngannou, versus Tyson Fury in a boxing match. That would be intriguing. In a boxing match with MMA gloves, because Francis Ngannou, he has to cut weight. He's coming in 265. And he doesn't seem to be scary yet anyway. Maybe he's going to be scary now he's champion, but so far he's happy to throw hands. Tyson Fury versus Ngannou in a boxing match with MMA gloves, that would be massive. That will sell 1 million pay-per-views, I reckon. Especially by the time John Jones and Ngannou have fought. That would be a banger. I'm there for that for sure. That will end up being an AJ versus Fury fight, because AJ's flapped kind of thing. So yeah. Listen, Telly Swift... Just remember, girl. Yeah, remember. You don't remember for next time. Unless you want to go to the cave, keep your mouth shut. Yeah, no doubt, 100%.